same thing.
03000.
You know, we stop those guys from coming in. And then yes, look at me. Then looking that way.
Actually 1400. Rolling. Go.
Okay, great. So if you'd like, if you could just tell us your name and then just tell us about the calendar and how it works regarding to the days, that would be great.
Okay. Hello, my name is Mazatazin, and I'm a student here at Ccsf, San Francisco. And we're working on a project of the Aztek calendar. So I was also instrumental in putting the calendar up here in front of the campus. And now we've put together a class, or a workshop actually, from Each One Teach One. And it's a student workshop where we're learning the workings of the calendar. So as you know already, this calendar is called the Aztek calendar. Okay? What we found in our workings and our research that we've been doing for the past 20 years on this project, we found that the Aztek calendar is a culmination of all the calendar systems from throughout the continent. It was carved in Mexico City in the year 1479. But the information that it contains is information that was put together across thousands of miles by thousands of people and over thousands of years, and culminated in what we know now as the Aztek calendar. It's known and recognized by modern science to be the most complete and the most precise calendar system ever devised. So we figure it's time that we start using it, especially since we have it up here in front.
And how do you mean by precise and exact relative to what?
Well, precise in this counting system. For example, this year we have a leap year, right? So this year is a leap year. That means that there was a day called February 29 that was put into our calendar this year. Last year there was no February 29, or the year before, or the year before, or the year before. So in other words, the Gregorian system that we live under, they have to wait 4 years and they put one day in February 29. That's one example. These grandfathers, they were using that quarter of a day. And what they did was they would start every year a quarter of a day later than the year before. So they would use up the whole 365 and 1/4 days. So it's precise. It's a precise calendar system. Like I said, recognized by modern science, or better yet, proven by modern science to be the most precise calendar system. So our intention is to learn to use it, to apply it. Because one thing that we always point out is that it's not really an Aztec thing, or an Indian thing, or a Mexican thing. It's a human experience towards personal transcendence with global consequences. In other words, it's based on the cycle of a human being inside his mother's womb for 260 days, which will be divided by the 20-day signs, what we have right here, 20-day signs, with 13 numbers. So it would be 13 times 20 will be 260 days. And that's the gestation period of the human being. So that's the human calendar that's in here. Now, if we take the 20 days cycles and we multiply them by 18 groups, we have 360 days. Then we have one special group of 5 1/4 days, the last part of the year. It's called Nemon Temi, and is used for reflection, balance, and adjustment to finish off the year and be ready to begin the new year. So it's very, very precise in the fact that it allows you to learn to respect time and get the most out of it. So as we're doing this workshop, we're doing a workshop now, we're on our 4th week of a workshop. We're doing a 6-week workshop here based on the calendar. It's a prototype type project we're on. It's the first time they've done it here at CCSF, called Each One Teach One, where students have an opportunity to present workshops that are not covered by the regular curriculum. And hopefully we can develop it into a class eventually. So since we've been here, we've been going over the days, just basic introduction to the calendar. You know, understanding the elements that are on here. Because unfortunately, one thing wrong, or one problem that we have, is that so many things have been said and written about the calendar system. And a lot of them did not have very good foundations. So we need to kind of go back and revise some of those and straighten this out.
And what would you say about this calendar in reference to 2012? They say that, you know, it's the end of times and that the Mayan calendar is ending. Is there any relevance in this calendar about that, or how would you explain that?
Well, first of all, 2012, people say a lot of things because of lack of information mainly, but there's nothing in the calendar system that talks about an end of anything. 2012, on December 21st, we're looking at a winter solstice. We know what's happening really, reality. Astronomically, we're going through a winter solstice. But the difference with this one is that we will be in a place, in space, that this Earth has not been in for 26,000 years. So we're coming to a very special cycle that begins a new 26,000 year cycle, called now the precession of the universe, of the equinoxes. And that's what's really going on. The calendar system, this one here, in fact, there's a 26,000 year cycle in this calendar system. But it goes from a 26,000 year cycle down to an 18-minute piece of time here as well. So in other words, this calendar is a clock as well. We call it, we develop what we call now an astronomical calendrical map and cosmic clock, using the ancient codices, the ancient books that were written thousands of years ago. And we found time pieces in there, very relevant to today. Meaning that time doesn't change, it's just what the actions that take place. So now we can correlate even your birthday to the calendar system. And we can see the qualities and potential that are in each piece of time. And we realize that the grandfathers, the ancestors, would name a child according to the day that he was born. Unfortunately, it's been put down as if it was superstition or these kind of things and trying to find their destiny. Nothing of the sort. They named the child according to the day that he was born because they knew the quality and the potential in that piece of time. So they knew what every child had a potential to be or to reach. And so it's about potential and capacities.
And does this, so you're saying the calendar, are you saying the calendar is relatively aligned to the stars as well and the planets?
Well, aligned to the stars and the planets, that's a big question. I'm not sure how aligned that would be, but it's aligned to the cycles, okay, the cycles primarily of the Earth around the Sun, of Venus, okay, and the Moon around the Earth, and the precession of the equinoxes, which is the movement of the Sun himself. And there are other too. In the calendar system, we also have cycles of all of the visible planets that were visible at that time. They're all carved in here. But what we've been dealing with the human cycle, which is called Tonal Poali, the count of the days.
Thank you. And could you just address the new year? Do you want to zoom in? Do you want to?
I was already close.
If you could just talk about the relevance of the New Year celebration that happens here at City College and happened, that would be great.
Sure. This calendar that you see up front in the campus, you know, I was the advisor on that project, advisor for to ensure cultural integrity, to make sure the state is firm to the tradition. And so what we do, this year begins on March the 12th. So March 12th is the beginning of the new year on the Aztek calendar. So every year on March 12th, we have a ceremony here at City College. And remember, they move the quarter of a day every year. So one year, like this year for example, it was at sundown. Okay, at sundown we began the ceremony. Last year was noon. The year before that it was midnight. The year before that it was sundown again. So in other words, we're moving a quarter of a day every year. So we're having ceremonies here every year to commemorate the new cycles of the calendar. One thing very interesting, 2 years ago, the city and county of San Francisco declared March 12 as official MEXIKA New Year in San Francisco for every year hereafter. So we expect to have a good celebration.
And so could you just explain, you know, the difference between calling it the MEXIKA calendar and the Aztec calendar?
Yeah, well, okay, this calendar is known as the Aztec calendar. That's the name that is known, okay, known by. But in reality, it's got a name. The real name is called Tonal Mashot. That's the original name of the calendar, Tonal Mashot, and it means the pattern of the sun. Now, we call it the MEXIKA calendar system because it came out of Mexico Tenochtitlan, Mexico City. And that's why the MEXIKA calendar system. Now, Aztec is real important. I'm glad you asked that because Aztec is real important. People don't know what Aztec means and they get other definitions. But Aztec comes from a word called Aztli and means an instrument to harmonize. And Teca means a person who's an instrument of harmony. So Azteca means a person who's an instrument of harmony. And like I mentioned, you can correlate your birthday to the calendar system. And once we find out where you sit in this calendar piece, you're also a what do you call it? A instrument of harmony. And that's what this is about.
And cut. All right, Dan. Get it rolling. Go ahead.
Okay, there are 20 days in the calendar system. 18 periods of 20 days. They begin right here, in this point. And the first day is crocodile, the wind, the house, lizard, serpent, skull, deer, rabbit, water, dog, monkey, herb, reed, jaguar, eagle, condor, movement, flint, rain, and flower. 20-day cycles. Always begin with the crocodile, always end with a flower.
And now you also mentioned the 9-month gestation of a child.
Yes. Okay, now every day sign, like every year, has a number from 1 to 13. Of the 20-day signs that are here, 4 represent the years. And they're the ones that are in the corners, right here. For example, the year of the house, the year of the rabbit, the year of the reed, and the year of the flint. 4 day signs.
Oh, sorry, could you
And-
do that again?
No, that's okay.
Oh.
I'll get close. I'll get it close.
Okay.
Can you just point at the middle, on the middle figure
Mhm.
there? What is the name of that?
The middle figure has been called the sun for hundreds of years. But we found out through research that it's not the sun, it's actually the earth. And it's got a name. It's called Tlaltecutli, means guide of the earth. And that's a very important point that we needed to bring out. Because not only did they want to call it the sun, but they would call it the sun god. And they would say that the tongue was sticking out because they wanted to eat your blood. So we have to go into that real carefully and realize that it's not the sun god. In fact, and the tongue is not for eating, of course, it's for speaking. And the symbol of your sign, which is right here, the flint. So the same symbol that's here in the flint, the same symbol that we got here in the tongue. So it represents time as well.
Can you repeat that? I'm going to get you on a close-up. And just tell us one more time about the middle section.
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yes.
Sure.
Right.
Hold on a second. Let me get the focus. And that's the best you can if you can just repeat what you just said. Don't bother having to point it out. Just tell us.
Okay. The centerpiece of this calendar is, of course, the most attractive, and everybody sees. And for hundreds of years, they were telling us that this was the sun god. But we realized through research, and other archaeologists have found other pieces with the same face that proved that it was not the sun at all, but the earth. It's got a name. The name is called Tlaltecutli. Tlal means earth, and Tecutli means guide, the guide of the earth. Now, the sun was represented here, they thought, and they said that the tongue was because he wanted to eat your blood. In other words, for sacrificial purposes. But we realized that no, the symbol of the tongue is the same symbol that we have here as one of the year signs. It's called Tekpat, flint. It's also right here, the one flint. They're date signs. So this is not a tongue for eating, but for speaking. And actually, it tells us that the message we're getting, that this is the speaking said, if you want to have life, you need to respect the earth, the wind, the fire, and the water, the 4 elements of life.
Cut. Great.
Near the top? Yeah, right on the top. One time and then roll it up. Did it go up? Okay.
No, actually, I don't want to ask him that. I don't want to ask him, what is this guy's name?
Or like what that is.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much evident what it is.
Yeah, they can come in right now. You could open the door from before.
Okay, yeah.
You can just sit there in the back and behave. No. They don't, man. They don't listen.
Yeah.
Have you just step to the side a little bit? Let me get some of that.
Sorry, we messed up your classroom. You're just getting B-roll, right, Mark?
Yeah.
So we just start sorting things out.
Yeah. I'm just getting.
This is not like I'm trying to teach. It's just,
Aquí nomás, aquí nomás.
it looks like this guy is, sometimes in space, but not like that.
I'm just concerned that 40 seconds will be too long, because usually when you print out, you can push it out 5 seconds. Why don't you just look at everything and see what...
You guys ever heard of Coast to Coast with George Newry? Huh? A la brava? Oof. Before it used to be called the Art Bell Show. Coast to Coast comes out late at night. And all kinds of weird people come on there, man. I'm next, probably. But anyway, he talked about, UFOs and all kinds of craziest things. The shadow people, everything you can imagine, man. It's all right there in the show. So the weekend, he did a workshop, and I was in LA. We did a workshop, and he was the host of our panel. So I had him.
And hold on a second. And go ahead, rolling. 1445. Oh, that's sorry. Go ahead.
Well, one thing that I would like to make a point, and that is that we have the most precise and
That bad motor scooter outside. Okay.
serious.
And go ahead. Start
Okay,
over.
yes. One last thing that I would like to point out is that we have the most precise and most complete calendar system ever created right here in front of our campus. And I feel that the majority of the CCSF community is not really paying attention to what they have right here. Because there's an opportunity for CCSF to come out in the forefront of bringing the true and correct information on this calendar system. And it's a system that can help people, help human beings realign themselves, because it will show you cosmic identity. And that's an identity that's not measured by the color of your skin or your eyes or your hair. It's just going to depend on when did you take the breath of life. So in other words, we have an opportunity to share something that was put together by thousands of people thousands of years ago that made them be considered as the most precise calendar system